All right, today I want to talk about the number one mistake that I see the wives of porn addicts make. If you are a spouse and your husband is struggling with a pornography problem, the number one thing that I see as a mistake is women being the accountability partner for their spouse. And what that means is that they become the person that their spouse goes to. They become the person that their spouse goes to check in, to say, hey, I've had a hard day, or I'm struggling with this trigger, or I was tempted to relapse today. That's the accountability partner. It's supposed to be designed as someone who keeps you accountable, somebody who is aware of what you're going through, that you can come and talk to if you're having a hard time. But when the wife is the accountability partner, there are two really big problems with that I see most often. Okay. Number one is that most women are not in an emotionally stable and healthy enough place in order to take that on. Because as the wife of a porn addict, what happens is as your husband is going through things, it brings up your own stuff, your own physical insecurities, your own lack of self-worth. It brings up feelings of rejection and betrayal. And if you don't know what to do with that, then that's all that's going to be flooding to the surface every time your husband comes and talks to you about it. Most women don't know what to do with that. They're not in a healthy enough space emotionally to be able to take that on and deal with whatever's coming up for them. That is the biggest reason why you should not be your husband's accountability partner. Number two is that it changes the nature of your relationship, because rather than you being on the same page, what actually happens is that then you change from being a partner and being on equal playing field to actually being the police, right? Then you become the parole officer, the person that he has to check in with, and then you're constantly monitoring him, and the relationship shifts very much more like a parent-child relationship rather than it being an equal partner relationship. And that can be very difficult to navigate, because then you're on a higher playing field than him, and you're seeing him even subconsciously as lower, someone who has to check in, someone who should be doing X, Y, and Z, and you have to monitor their behavior. And it just changes the nature of your relationship in a way that is not beneficial. Now, I want to talk about the 3 reasons why we typically like to do it. Okay, my husband was addicted to pornography. I now coach hundreds of women who have a spouse that's struggling with a pornography problem. These are the main 3 reasons that I see. Number one, the reason that we like it is it gives us a false sense of control. Having a spouse that's struggling with a pornography problem, you don't often feel like you're in control. In fact, you very much feel out of control because he is doing something you don't like, that you don't want him to do, and you have no control over it. When you take on the role of accountability partner, however, you get this idea that you are somehow managing it, that you are somehow in control, or at least partly in control. But it's a false sense of control, because you still have no control over what he chooses to do and what he doesn't. You also have no control over whether or not he's actually lying to you or telling you the truth or being fully honest with you about whatever it is that he's struggling with. But the reason that we like it is it tricks our brain into thinking that we have some kind of control over a situation where we actually feel powerless. Number 2 is that we have this lie. Our brain has this lie that it eases our anxiety. Our brain likes to think that if we just had more information, we'd feel better. This is why when COVID hit, everyone went nuts and was just constantly on their phone, monitoring and checking the news every 30 minutes to see if something new came out. Because when we don't understand the situation, when we feel powerless or out of control, we think that if we just knew more, if we just understood it more, if we just had a better grasp of what was going on, then we'd feel better. So our brain is after more information, thinking that more information is going to make you feel better. But ladies, if you have been around for more than a second with your husband and know a little bit about what's going on, more information is not always better. Is it really better to hear every time that he was triggered today? Do you really want him to come and tell you what exactly he was looking at and what he was watching and when he was triggered and where you were when he was triggered? No, you really don't. That doesn't actually make you feel better. Our brain thinks it does. It's this lie in our brain that if we just knew more, then we would feel better. We wouldn't have as much anxiety about it, but that's a lie. And then the third reason that I see women wanting to be the accountability partner is because they feel like they're supposed to, like that's what makes them supportive. They want to be supportive. And ladies, if you want to be supportive of your husband, you can still do that and not be his accountability partner. The most supportive thing that you can do for your spouse is get help yourself. 100%. If you get help yourself, if you work with a professional, if you start healing and moving forward, that eases so much for him that it no longer has to worry and stress about you. And that's actually what enables him to have the space and the emotional energy and capacity to start healing himself. right? If you want to be supportive, you don't have to be his accountability partner. There are so many other ways to be supportive. So don't believe the lie that that's the only way that it can happen.